Hello everyone, welcome to the Kiali community meeting for the Sprint 69. At the end of this week, we are going to release the Kiali version 1.47. And in this session, we are going just to give an update that what we have, what we are working on this Sprint, what we ship for this version, and what you can find in the following releases. So Sprint 69, so as commented, you can see all our activity, the project. So if you go to the Kiali organization, the project, you can see the full Sprint 69. If you filter by the epic, you will see all the big areas that we are working on. The epics are issues that typically may span several sprints. Yeah, just to comment what we are working on. So this sprint we finished a couple of epics. They introduced the preview mode in Istio config that Alberto is going to show us a quick. Also a big refactoring related to the Kiali validations that now we are going to use the Istio race information and it's going to have for improvement in the performance as well. You can see also all the areas that are in progress. We have in progress several epics, all of them related to the scalability of the graph, so how to manage big cluster in backend, in the front end, in the graph, and also to keep improving the experience of the Istio user with the Istio configuration. The Istio configuration is complex, and the idea is that Kiali can be a good tool to help you to validate what is happening, what is wrong, and how we can give you a better experience on that. Also, our colleague Leandro is going to tell a little bit about that. So yeah, feel free to go to the project to see all the activity. Also, if you filter by all, you can get all the details of the issues, all the pull requests, merges, or what is all activity public. So feel free to join us and tell us what are your priorities. Yeah, some of the highlights of the features that will be shipped or were already in progress but are relevant to share with the community are there. One of the big features is the Istio config preview, and I'm going to let Alberto to comment it. Alberto, I'm going to stop sharing my screen if you like to.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so the idea is to show a quick demo about this enhancement about the Istio config preview. So as we know, Kiali allows us to create resources for a particular mess only if we have right rights. So for example, the overview page, we can create traffic policies. So the service details, we have the wizards to create some kind of options, or Istio just through the Istio config view. But until now, we don't know what kind of resources Kiali would like to create when we use these options. Now Kiali let us see the YAML of these resources. So we can use this tool to check the YAML result and then create the resources if we have rights. For example, let's try to create some kind of option in the service reviews or the book info demo. If we go to the options menu and we click, for example, traffic shifting, let me change here the waves and add some kind of option here. For example, the gateway, traffic policy, let's add a authentication with mode disabled. We can see now that we have here a preview action instead of the created one. And if we click here, we can see that Kiali is going to create 3 objects, a destination rule, and pair authentication, and a virtual service for this review service. Okay. Kiali allows us to modify the YAML before creating them, so we can change here, for example, the reviews to review destination. Whoa. Destination. Okay, but destination rule. Kiali allows us to copy the YAML resources, download them in a file. This is so useful if we want to use this YAML through your terminal, through your QA client, and apply the configurations. And yeah, after that we can create, and we can see that Kiali is creating the resources that we change with the name, in fact, that we change in the YAML. In my opinion, I think this is a great feature to know more about what Kiali is doing for you, and we hope you find it so useful. And yeah, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Alberto. Very nice, very nice demo. So, yeah, continue with the highlights that you will see in this version. Another, when you have created all the Istio configuration, remember that you can go to the details and edit them. And also, we are working to redesign the side panel, and Leandro is going to tell us the improvement that he's working on to enhance this feature. Okay. Leandro.
Yes, let me share the screen. You can see the Chrome.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, like Lucas mentioned, we are redesigning the Istio config side panel. So here you have all the Istio configurations that, for example, Alberto created recently with a new with the wizards. For every resource, you can go into the details. So previously, we had only side panels with information for the virtual services and the destination rules. Now, with this effort, with this epic, we are expanding this, and we are adding and allowing all the resources to have also side panels. So, for example, if you are going to a gateway, we are noticing that we have the side panel, right? So this is something new. Going again to, for example, a virtual services, we are looking to this new side panel. We try to adopt the same design language from other areas of Kiali. For example, we can see that this is a virtual service. This is the name. We had a little bit of information, and also we see this validation. That is really important to see if everything is okay. Also, as a new addition, we are adding and mentioning if the object is reconciled. What this means is that if the object is updated in every of the proxy that it needs to be, right? So this is a feature that needs to be activated on Istio, but if it is activated, you will see it right here and in this validation icon too, in the tooltip. So we are adding references to all of the other objects and services and workloads that this, for example, virtual service is related. So here you can see that it's a service, gateway, and a destination rules that belongs to this or works with this virtual service. So we are eventually adding more references and improving this, but this is a first step. And the last thing that I wanted to mention is a new feature that we are adding to help the user when it's configuring this configuration object and the others as well. It's a new help section that this help section will help the user because it will appear some information here on the moment of editing this resource. So for example, if we are editing, we are going also to see these clue information icons. So what this means, this field, the host, has help information. If we are going to edit here, we can see that now in the help section, it will appear some description of what this field is doing, right? So for example, we can move to gateways, and it also says a little help. The same for the rest. We can see that here we had another help icons, so we can go here and check the help description. So this is a first step to help and improve the experience of the user. And yeah, so this eventually will evolve, I think, but with more intelligent suggestions. But for now, it's what we are working. So I guess this is all from my side, Lucas. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you a lot, Alberto, for the feature and also for the demo. Okay, let me keep sharing the screen and let's continue with the highlights of the version 1.47. So yeah, another feature that we have in the project is that, as you know, one of the big areas, a big epic that we are working in things are scalability. And scalability typically means to have a lot of namespace, a lot of workloads. And as a developers, we sometimes we cannot use this kind of large cluster for for testing or for scalability. So our colleague Nick has created a developer tool. It's a topology generator proxy that is an internal tool that you can use in the project just to mock some of the graph queries. So in the sense that you can run a Kiali version, that you can intercept some of the graph API calls that can help you to simulate a pretty large cluster. So that is pretty useful if you want to test a new world about layouts, right, or the new world about all the instruments that we are working on in the graph area. More improvements, probably much in the backend, as I commented at the beginning. So I have finished the big epic to refactor the Istio validation, to use the Istio registry. So that means that instead to query all the namespaces, all the etcd objects, so we can just do a single query to the Istio-D and get from memory all the Istio configuration. That is going to help the performance, and this is going to help also in the cross namespace validation, that especially in federation scenarios or similar, right? When you need to check that one configuration is linked, as Leandro showed in the previous demo, with other resources. If the resources are okay, right? Kiali is focused to help the user to detect those kind of gaps, those kinds of errors, and the scenario will be highly improved. More refactoring, so we refactor in the security using one of the GWT library, out just using the OIDC completely library. This is one of the areas that we are working this sprint. More scalability efforts in progress that I guess that we are going to show some status of the current discussion are relating the graph scalability. And I guess that we have two areas, one in the edge hiding options. And I guess that Jay is going to show us a quick demo.
Yes, just a quick demo. So when we talk about scalability, it sort of means multiple things. Some people think just performance, but usability at scale is another aspect, and that's kind of what we're looking at, especially with the graph right now. Now, this actually isn't a very large topology. This is the travel demo, but just to give an idea of some of the things we're looking at. So this is actually the current version that's out there. It's not the work in progress that I want to show, but just for comparison's sake, you can see that today, if I go into the graph and I hover on a particular node, in this case the travel agency flights application node, you see a couple of things here. One, you see that this pop-up context info shows up and covers the actual label on the box, so it's kind of replicating that information. It makes it a little bit clunky because it also covers some of the edges that are highlighted. You can note that highlighting is only covering the direct neighborhood of the graph. So if you've used this before, you know that we dim the part of the graph that's not highlighted, and we try to highlight edges that are emanating from the node that you're hovering over, for example. If I was to select this node, you'll notice that the dimming is still there, but we also highlight all the end-to-end paths that involve what you've selected. To improve this, we're working on a few changes. So here we have basically the same graph. And now if I was to go and hover on a node, we've done a few things. One, you can see that the context info does not show up to cover the label. when the labels are there. If we were zoomed out and there were no labels, the context info would show up because then it's more useful. You can see that the highlighting of edges is now, even on hover, going end to end. So it's the same as if I had selected it. So there's a bit of consistency there. And then furthermore, we're dimming to a greater degree. So it's almost invisible. And the idea being that as you get more and more nodes and edges, even the dimming that we were doing before doesn't call out the highlighting as well as we really wanted. We also tried getting rid of it completely and just showing the highlighted paths. But that seemed to be a little bit drastic for some people. They didn't like the way that it was flashing. We're still looking at it. It could be an option going forward. What I also wanted to call out were these new options here on the on-graph toolbar. These are new. So we've got these two new edge options that we're looking at. And what they do is quickly hide edges. So, for example, I'm going to actually switch right now to this new grid layout because at the moment it shows a little bit better this way. But when you have a large topology and you might want to quickly just sort of get an idea of what's going on, you can take away all of the edges, for example. And what that does is it kind of cleans up your graph quickly and lets you focus maybe on what's more interesting. And in this case, we can see that we've got degraded performance quickly by just being able to see the travels here, voyages here. Another possible option that we're looking at is being able to say, all right, hide all the healthy edges. So then you end up with just a graph that shows the edges that are showing degraded or error level traffic. So in general, we're looking at quick ways of making large topologies easier to use by being able to clean things up, let you focus more quickly on the things that are of interest. But we also want to make sure that people understand that, there's a reason why people are looking at the full topology. They, for whatever reason, want to see, the whole graph. And so there's still value there. So we're trying to balance what makes sense between showing the full graph and making it usable. And anyway, it's a work in progress. These changes are not in the version that will be released tomorrow, but will be coming soon. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Jay. So we also to keep talking about this work in progress scalability effort. So as Jay has commented, so we are working in this area, especially for a scenario where we have a lot of namespaces. So, and I say that typically when we focus in one single namespace, one single application with few nodes, the graph is pretty useful. So these topologies are pretty good. But what typically happens, what we have reported, that in real clusters, users tend to have a lot of workloads, a lot of namespaces, a combination of a lot of namespaces with few workloads. So I want to see all the namespaces in a single view, or may have a single namespace highly populated with up to hundreds of nodes just to visualize, right? So in that case, for example, this is the version that is shipped with Istio 1.12 is an old version, just to compare what we are working on. If I want to see one namespace, the layout is good. If I want to see two, perhaps it's good. But if I want to add a large number of namespaces, you will see that, yeah, typically this graph is hard to read, right? So this is what we are trying to improve this experience. If we change the previous algorithms, I may have some random patterns that may or may not be useful, right? So this is one of the areas that we are trying to work to improve this experience. So what you can see now in the new version is that when we have, this is the new work in progress, is still under discussion. As Jay said, you won't see this in the 1.47, but probably coming soon. Is that we are trying to introduce new layouts that have a better performance, or we think could give a better experience in those cases, right? So the default layouts are not going to change. So if you are typically using this layout, you will see that the default are still the same for compatibility, but you will see all the features that we are working on, that Jay has commented. That's to hide the labeling, and also when I introduce more namespace, in this case, I'm going to show you 18 namespace in a real cluster, all of them. You can see that the layout is not well performant. So we started to introduce new algorithm, more simple one. For example, a grid one is something that you will see now. Also a concentric one, you will see now that is going to give me a little more information what is happening. For example, I can focus that the center of the application in the center, the workers in the center are highly communicated by the others, can give me more information. We are working in another type of layouts that can also give more information, like a breadth and first layout for application that can tell me, okay, the first layer is talking with the other layer. It's a combination about the other two layouts, right? It's like the grid layout, but also a combination with that can give you a better performance. Also, if I try to enable boxes, namespace boxes, you can see that the default layout probably can give me hard visibility of all the picture, but we have introduced a couple of controls just to let the user to change the outer layout, the layout of the namespaces, but the inner layout of inside the namespace. So I can combine these two elements, for example, to play what is the best visualization for your scenario. In this case, I can combine a grid with two different of layouts here to see what could work better for my case. And also I can try to combine a concentric with two different ones, or also the breadth and first, just to give me, okay, what is the relation between these namespaces. So some layouts are going to work better in some scenarios. For example, when you have a single namespace with a lot of connectivity with others, probably these new layouts are going to work better, right? But in case that I have very isolated namespace that do not have connectivity with other, probably the previous algorithm that we have would also work as well. So that's another view that is going to be applied to all the type of graphs, in the worker layout. You can see how it would look like in this one. So yeah, this is just this is a work in progress that we are focused on this sprints, right, on this epic, just to improve this experience, right? So yeah, we hope that that we can collect your feedback or what these new options look like. So this is in very active development, right? And it could be a good time to tell us what do you think about this one. And yeah, I guess that will be for this session. So I'm going to stop the recording.